All right, welcome back for our second match of the week here for week 4 feature matches. We got Daniel M here on commentary for the last two matches tonight. How's it going?
I'm good.
All right, we got two new players to our league here. We got Jahbari, who is off to a roaring start at 12-3, and he's up against Ike, who's at a very strong 10-6 as well. So neither of these players are struggling yet in their first leagues here. Looks like Ike is taking a mulligan there, while Jahbari is. We'll see if he keeps us or not, but we'll see if Ike has to mulligan again. What colors does it look like he's playing over there?
Right now, he has a mountain and forest as well as some black cards. And he has a gilded Gouda, which, if he finds another creature,
Oh,
can provide treasures. But right now, he doesn't have everything he needs at the moment.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm looking at Jabari's hand as well. So,
Oh,
yeah. If you're able to
oh,
watch Ike's stream,
sorry, let me
uh,
fix the other
we
one.
can. Yeah,
Sorry.
it's all good. They're
He's
good
a
gaming. They're good gaming
blue-green.
before the start of the game. Who are these monsters? So what's
He
Ike
has
got
a
on going over there?
Scoryfoot. He has a Scoryfoot that he didn't play, but he also has the Gauntlet Optimizer, Hazard of the Dunes, uh, few lands.
Yeah, we got a very perfect swamp here off the top for Jabari to unlock that engine rat in his hand. These guys are. This is going to be a emote heavy game, I think here, which is always get a little bit of extra to entertainment. Nothing wrong with that, as long as it's all friendly. Yeah, here's a pothole mole. We'll see if it's a pothole mole we're happy with or not. I have a love hate relationship with
Oh,
that card.
well,
Mostly hate, but
it found the land, but milled some good
yeah,
cards.
the
So
possession engine here. Yeah, so for Jabari, we see two spin outs, one recently drawn. He has a Rise from the Wreck, which he could be a late game card, the Crash and Burn, and then I believe it's called Nethroy, Apex of Death, which you need a white mana to cast, but you do not need a white mana to mutate that creature. It costs 7 to mutate, but you don't need white, you just need black uh, and green. And when it mutates, you return any number of creatures with total power 10, I believe, from your graveyard onto the battlefield. It's a very silly effect in the late game here. We'll see if that comes to be.
drew the March of the World Ooze, the 6 mana enchantment, which turns all creatures into 6/6s. So if he gets a couple lands for that's going to be big.
Yeah, that can absolutely take over this game. For now, he still gets to play Scurryfoot and Exhausted on turn 4, which is pretty nice. So it looks like Jabari
He's also
is.
holding up a counter spell.
Yeah, it looks like Jabari is going to send his Gilded Goda off to its death here to get a treasure. Yeah, he's going to send him on his way. The horse is going to be hitting the graveyard most likely, unless Ike decides to let it through. But yeah, if my opponent's attacking with the Goda, I'm just assuming they need the treasure more than they need the Goda. Okay, so he is going to crash and burn the elephant, which you never feel good using a really strong removal on one half of a one mana common. What's up? I guess that was off the top here this turn.
He drew a flood the engine. He
Okay.
had the hazard in hand.
Okay. Yeah, it's just like you never feel good using your crash and burn to kill one half of a one mana common there. Like it just something feels off with that. But
Yep.
you want to get through and you want to get the game going. I think he's gonna spin out this hazard here. So probably no attack's gonna leave back the death touch here. Yeah. So I don't think Ike's going to use his flood the engines yet. What's his other options?
Sudden spinnerets, I think that's a combat truck. That's exactly what it does.
So I believe it's the one from Ikoria. It's like one green mana plus 1+3 reach. Untap the creature and it gets a reach counter. So it's permanent reach.
Interesting.
So he's going to attack you with a Farfinder, 1/1 Vigilance. He is building up 1 mana away from his Nethroi. Nothing too crazy to get back yet. I believe it was just possibly the Goda in the graveyard. But if that ever does, if we ever get to the point in the game
It's
where that
the
can get
fifth
back
land.
multiple things, then okay. Yeah, March of the World Dues is going to be a rough one, especially if I can land a couple more creatures in the interim. And in the meantime, this Pothole Mole's just pecking in for damage every turn, and next thing you know, Jahbari is going to be at 10 if he doesn't block here. Does he have a follow up after the Pothole Mole, or not yet, or not this turn?
It's just a flood the engines, but nothing
Yeah.
really to use that on. I mean, maybe the Death Touch creature, but and the spectral interference.
Okay, yeah, that Spectral Interference is going to be rough if it hits the Nethroi. Um, but he'll probably just do it on like the next good thing that Jahbari casts here. Yeah. In the meantime, he gets to make his opponent lose 2 life, but Jabari's drawn a Lightning Strike, which he can, if he's getting annoyed by the mole, he can target it with that. Yeah. So just a very timid looking board here, but with another land, Ike's going to make his board look a little bit scarier.
Let's say a mutate creature of his own, a Nethroi, Apex of Death.
He's got one too.
Nethroi, Apex of
Yeah,
Death.
yeah, he's
Is
got
that the
one.
same
Yeah,
one?
yeah. So that, yeah. So the thing about that with the hybrid, you can mutate it for green and black or for green and white, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's how it works. I haven't read the all of the rules text for that in a minute, but I know you can mutate for 2 colors. It's just assuming it's green and then white.
It's mutate is it's its mutate cost is 4 black hybrid green white.
That's going to be really hard for Ike to mutate. No, if he needs 2 black,
It does require double black,
huh?
right?
Uh,
So he doesn't have the mana for that.
yeah, and you need a black mana even just to cast it as a 5/5, which, huh? Maybe he's got some technology we're not aware of going on there. So Ike is gonna decide if he wants to fight over this. And here's the thing: he can still just trade for the engine rat no matter what. Jabari is wondering if he wants to use his spin out here. It's like, do we really want to use our premium cards here on a pothole mole? And I think Jabari is going to say no. Yeah. Yeah, so a bit of a kind of a slow moving game here. Both players have some interesting cards in hand, but not too much going on the board right now. Yeah, Rugged Highlands drawn as a tap land here. That is the 7th mana for the Nethroi. However, we know Ike has a counterspell. We also know that there's not much in Jabari's graveyard to get back.
Well, that's the land, so he could play the March of the World Ooze, but if he does that, then he's tapped out.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, it looks like he's going to flood the engine first on the rat because he wants when he plays March of the World Dues, he wants the 6/6 to basically be able to attack and not trade. So Earth Rumble off the top, pretty nice here, but it is going to get countered, I
Didn't count for
assume.
that.
Yeah, you're not going to let
Yep.
you don't want to let that one survive. And now he can feel pretty safe about landing his uh, ooze here. Yeah, so he's going to attack for 6. Yeah, so Jahbari instantly opens up his graveyard and finds the only thing that he can bring back with the mutate is a Gilded Goda, but I think he needs to, yeah, he can't block here. He needs to mutate, and then he'll have a 5/5 Death Touch, Lifelink, and Vigilance as well. Since mutate, one of the more confusing mechanics here. So the creature gains the name and power, toughness, and creature type of whatever's on top, but it gains the text of all the creatures. So the one on top and underneath. Very
And
bizarre
that's another
mechanic.
land that's not gonna. That was a land that's not gonna help him cast the Netheroi.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe he wasn't super familiar with how mutate works because he's already playing 3 colors. I don't think I would splash like a 5 mana Death Touch Lifelink with no other abilities. So yeah, he forces the trade here, which I guess is good for him. But just as soon as Ike draws another creature, it's going to be a 6/6. It's going to demand to be blocked. So it looks like he's going to rise from the wreck back. Uh, Possibly just the. He gets the Nethroi and he'll get his Earth Rumbler. Okay. Yeah, so pretty decent board state here. Again, as soon as Ike draws a creature, it's a bit problematic, especially one
And
that
with the
has
counters,
flying.
that's an 8/8.
Yeah, that's gonna be close to lethal. Oh, he's drawn Jabari's drawn a another mutate, but a reach creature this time. So it's a spider that if you mutate it, the creature gets 2 counters. I believe it mutates for 5, but it's not going to make his creature big
He
enough.
could also plays the Earth Rumbler, then Ike isn't going to be able to attack.
Yeah, the Earth Rumbler, well, it'll be a 7/6, which he will be able to attack into a 7/6. So he's going to attack here, and then I assume he's going to mutate again. But if he blocks a token, the mutate doesn't have any value. Yeah, kind of like interesting game. Both players had these big flashy mythics in their hand and just needed time to deploy them, and they are getting deployed now. Yeah, so Jabari's just, he said, I'm going to attack in, I'm going to throw away a creature here, but I'm going to have a lot attacking you next turn. So he's threatening lethal here just by
Oh,
going a
that's a
bit
good draw.
wide.
There's a creature and a card.
Yeah, and that's going to be a 7/7, I believe, when it's once it's awake.
Yep.
Yeah, so Jabari said,
And
I need
the
to go
Evolving
wide,
World.
right? That's how you beat March of the World, dude, is you go wide, right? Because your creatures are always going to be smaller. You just have to go bigger or go more creatures. And that's what he's trying to do here.
With the Evolving Wilds, I assume there's a Swamp in Ike's deck. Play the Netheroi.
You would think, yeah. Otherwise, it's not doing anything. So a land off the top here. It's a gain land, but otherwise not of any use here. We can see Ike is rifling through Jabari's graveyard, seeing what's in there for the Nethroi and finding nothing. I believe it's just a Farfinder. Yeah. So of note, if he mutates on the spider, it'll get 2 counters and it'll bring back the Farfinder. If he mutates on the vehicle, I wonder what happens if he mutates on the vehicle. I believe the vehicle will Uh, if he puts the vehicle on top, it'll still need to be crewed, I think, in future turns. We're getting into the rules minutia that I don't know the ins and outs of, but I also know that it has Death Touch and Trample, which is a very deadly combination here. I think that's lethal, right? With Death Touch and Trample, he can't block enough to survive. Yeah,
Right. You can only block 1 damage per creature,
yeah. So
so
this Earth Rumbler
that's at
gets in
least 9 damage.
for minimum 5, and then there's 6 other coming through. So yeah, you don't usually mutate onto a vehicle and leave the vehicle on top, but if you're winning the game this turn, eh, seems like a pretty fine move. Jahbari's
Makes sense.
already looking at a sideboard here. Since when you click on your library, you can look at your sideboard. He's already mulling over his options for game 2 here. Yeah, so it looks like this is gonna be it's gonna be it as long as Ike is aware of how Death Touch
Hoping
and Trample
damage is going to
work.
be.
Yeah, there you go. If he wasn't aware, he's aware now.
Arena's default is going to distribute the damage properly.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I think Jahbari, while rifling through his sideboard while waiting for his opponent's decision there, did indicate that he may want to bring in a Hellish Sideswipe or possibly a Fang Guardian. He was mousing over those cards when he was looking at his sideboard at the end of that game. Yeah, so I do know he has talked about it when he's been on stream or whatever. He does have his opponent's deck open, I believe, when he's playing, which is it is perfectly allowed to do, and he can sort of try and figure out what are some of the cards to look out for. Right, that's I think one of the main things you do. Once you know what your opponent's playing, you kind of you know you look at the rares and maybe some of the uncommons in their color and identify the things that you need to be ready for. Is Ike doing any sideboarding here?
There was one change. He brought out a like 4 mana Death Touch creature. I didn't see exactly what was brought in, but not much was changed. It
Okay.
looked like.
Yeah, so far Jabari's brought in a maximum overdrive and hasn't taken out a card yet. And he clicked done. So he just said, I'm going to roll with 61 here. I bring in a maximum overdrive. I'm not taking out anything. Maybe it was done on purpose, maybe not, but he's running the 61 card special here for this game. So looks like both players are on 7. What's Ike looking at over there?
A few lands, a Guidelight Optimizer, and then a Path Cruiser to get the green he's missing.
All right. And he does have at least a
Um,
swamp,
and
we're now
then
finding
Sudden
out.
Spinnerets, Flood the Engine.
Okay. Yeah, he has at least one swamp since we see it being played here. So, he might be able to mutate a Nethroi if it gets drawn. So we got a very
Yeah.
land heavy hand here for Jahbari. He does have all of his colors. He has a Night Market, another Bloodfell Caves, Forest, Mountain. He has a Spin Out, and then he has up for the top of the curve the Pyrewood Gearhulk. So that's the red green one that gives all the other creatures +2 Vigilance and Menace, I believe, when it comes in. And it's just a
Yeah.
6 mana 7/7. So scary top end, but he'll need to have a board here to do that. And I mean, I can attack for 6 this turn with the Path Cruiser. So pretty nice start here. I
And
mean, it is
Ike
probably going to
drew
get
the
flooded.
Netheroi again.
Okay, well, he has one of the black mana needed.
Also has a Night Market, so if he wants the double black, he can get it from that.
Okay, so we might see that happen this game. Let's see how he decides to do this turn. So he could play the night market, and then I suppose he could exhaust his Scurryfoot and then attack for 6 with the Path Cruiser, since he'll now have the 5 power required. He did name white, which means that he may just want to hard cast the. Interesting that he could have. Could he not have attacked for 6 there? Yeah, he could have activated Scurryfoot with the Guidelight, had 5 power, attacked for
Block.
6.
Maybe he's looking to block.
Without speed on the menu, probably not. And Jahbari probably is thinking the same thing that we're thinking, which is, uh, you know, why was I not attacked for 6? And he says, I'm not going to let him figure out that he should be attacking for 6. I'm just going to spin it out now before I have to take 6. Well, here's the Nethroid just straight up hard cast. 5 mana. It's a 5 mana 5/5 Death Touch lifelink. It's certainly an imposing presence here on the board.
The draw was the March of the World Ooze, although that requires triple green.
Yeah, I was
so
gonna say
he doesn't have the mana for that.
He's just a little far away from that one. But this 5/5 is going to be ruling the board here for the time being. Jahbari's just got lands. He's got the Recluse, which is that spider, 2/3 spider with reach. Next turn he could play the Gearhulk, but the Gearhulk just trades for the Nethroid. So Gearhulk not even looking too scary here.
There's one force.
Okay, well, we're 2/3 of the way there. All right, so he just says, I'm going to try and get this game done with. Attack you for 9. And yeah, just way too many lands here for Jahbari. He will be able to cast his Gearhulk here, but the Gearhulk just trades for Nethroid. Unless Ike draws a removal. If Ike draws a removal, then he just has the lethal he needs. If not, he still probably should be attacking all.
Yeah, Guidelight Optimizer.
Yeah, attacking all is the move here. Yeah, just I mean, another creature is fine. Like that's a lethal attacker right now. And yet another land. So you could cycle his night market for one more look at something to get him out of this, but he's gonna have to. He needs 2 things, so really unlikely to be able to get that from one card. So maybe he can think of something in his deck that can fix this. So he's gonna cycle here. And it's a Debris Beetle, which does, I guess it technically keeps him alive. Yeah. Yeah, so Debris Beetle will put him to 5, and then he'll get attacked to 1, unless I can find more damage here.
So the sudden spinnerets gives +1 power, right?
That's enough. Yeah, it gives +1/+3 and a reach counter, which is I was gonna say it's plenty, but it's exactly enough. So it looks like we're gonna get a game 3 here. Yeah, just way too many lands for Jahbari. Whoa.
Oh, interesting.
Huh. Could have attacked for lethal here. Interesting. He's drawn an Outpace Oblivion. That's not going to do enough. He can kill the Nethroid, but he'll still get attacked by these lowly 2-power creatures.
There's also a defend the rider to protect whatever is targeted.
Well, he can go out on his own terms if he wants by sacrificing the Outpace Oblivion. That's his right. So didn't even attack with his menace creature. He was off it. Okay. Yeah, he says I'm going to do it my way, and my way is burn myself to death. All right, so we get a game 3 here. Fun, interesting game so far. Not so much for Jahbari, that second one, just a few too many lands. He's looking at the tricks here, the Defend the Rider and the Sudden Spinnerets. So I believe it was a Gastel Raider that he brought in. That's that start your engines creature that can grab an instant or sorcery from the opponent's hand. Also brought in a Hellish Sideswipe just as, an extra removal. So deciding what to, and he took out the maximum overdrive that he brought in last time. So he's figuring out his 2 cuts here. I guess Ike, not too much sideboarding like last time, or is he making?
There was
some
another
changes?
one card, but it was
Okay.
too quick to see.
Okay.
One card out, one card in.
Yeah. So again, Jahbari's added a Gastel Raider and a Hellish Sideswipe, and he's just figuring out what to take out before he clicks done. Yeah. So looking at his deck, I mean, his mana costs are very demanding, but with the fixing that he has, he's been able to make it work, and he's at 12-3. I mean, he has the Gearhulk like we saw, the Nethroi, he has a Far Fortune, he has a Thundering Broodwagon, the Jahbari Beetle. He has enough removal to get his creatures through, and yeah, he's been doing. Oh, he's got the 5 mana 8/8 as well, the dinosaur. So a lot of scary high end here, as you see with green decks in this league. Like sometimes you just play enough big things, your opponent's going to run out of removal and blockers. Or at least that's been my experience as a non-green player in this league, up against green decks.
That's a one lander.
Yeah, so this one is it's another one of those keeps that could go wrong here for Jahbari. He has a cycling card, but he's missing his green, and he has 3 green cards. So, he's keeping. If he keeps this, it's heavily reliant on finding that green in the first, we'll say 3 draws. Again, he does have a cycling card, but the fail case is that he doesn't get to play spells.
Well, Ike has the one land, a cycling 2 card of one mind to draw cards and Gauntlet Optimizer, but mulliganing that.
Yeah, so we got a better hand here on the mulligan. Less exciting, but more functional here.
Same. This is a pretty good hand.
Okay.
Lands, Rangers, Refueler, Flood the Engine, Defend the Rider.
But no
What's he gonna put
threat,
back?
no early creatures, really. Sounds like.
There's a Rangers
Okay.
Refueler and a 2 drop. The Sky Streak Engineer,
Okay.
1/3.
That'll do. Yeah, so Jahbari has the Gilded Goda. He has a Sky Crash and a Migrating Ketrodon. And he has a Forest and 2 mountains. So you could play his Gilded Goda, you could play a Sky Crash. After that, it'll be touch and go, depending on what he draws.
And Ike is putting back a land, so he's only keeping 2 lands now.
And as we're finding out, he can do this all day.
Well, he found a 3rd land, so
Okay.
never can have it.
There you go. All right, he's drawn one of the cards I mean, he likes to see it, but he doesn't like to see it when he's mulliganed and missing black, which is the Nethroi. So no black yet. He's, let's see. I mean, he's considering just firing off the Sky Crash here on the Rangers Refueler. Yeah, Rangers Refueler has been a really, really nice card. Just because the way that Exhaust works, you get the card as long as you activate it. It's not one of those things where like you activate it and then it still has to be there when the ability resolves. It just says whenever you activate an exhaust ability, draw a card. So you basically always get your card as long as you put 4 mana into it.
He's holding up Defend the Rider. Is that able to hit 2 protected vehicles, or is it only
I
creatures?
believe it's any permanent that you control.
Oh,
Yeah, to my knowledge, it's any permanent, which is not usually how those cards work, but I think they worded it that way to protect vehicles. Yeah, no attacks here. He does have the Sky Crash, so that might get countered by Defend the Rider if it's deployed and if Ike so chooses. If he has a
Ike is
fourth
drawing a
land
bunch of
here, okay.
lands.
If he has a fourth land, it's pretty easy to just make your thing a 4/4, draw your card, and attack. I would say. I mean, you like I mentioned, you can't really get blown out because
Three
you always
lands.
get the card. So let's
He's
see.
gonna play the tap land. He has an evolving wilds, but if he does that, he won't be able to hold up, defend the rider, exhaust.
Okay, he does go for all
Avoid
the
the
lands
untapped
here.
lands.
I mean, I don't think like Defend the Rider is doing too much right here. Like once he exhausts and draws his card, like he doesn't like the Ranger's Refueler is not really like a thing he absolutely must keep on the battlefield.
Interesting. He didn't exhaust,
No, I
but
think
it's exhaust is four. So
yeah, he could have exhausted, but he's going to be very insistent on leaving up this one mana here, which is a fine thing to do. It just means that he has to play off curve here, and he could have drawn the card last turn. Like it could have got Sky Crash in response, but he still would get the card. That's the thing.
but
I think Jahbari has basically figured out that he has Defend the Rider based on the way that he played it, and he just cycled his Sky Crash. He said, "I'm not falling for Defend the Rider. I'm just going to cycle this." And then he's going to cycle his Shredded Sails too, which also says destroy an artifact. So he said, "I am buying it. I know what you have. I don't need to play into it. You already got your card from the Ranger's
well,
Refueler." So
well, he could have used both of them to get past defend the rider. And when the Skystreak Engineer is exhausted, that's going to draw another card as well.
yeah, the problem is that he didn't have both in hand. He had to cycle the Sky Crash to find the Shredded Sails. So he would not
Got
have been
it.
able to do that move. Looks like he's attacking to get a treasure. He does have his Nethroy, which can be cast now, but nothing too much to put into play. He can just play it as a 5/5. There's a Ketrodon that can come back. So that the Ketrodon was cycled, so that's probably worth it to try next turn. You can mutate
And
on the
Ike has
Gilded
a
Dota.
Trade the Helm.
Okay, that's
So
a
Ike
fun
has a
card.
Trade the Helm
Yeah,
and a godlike Pathmaker, but no white for that
yeah.
at the moment.
Have you played a lot of Trade the Helm? Or
I don't think I've ever cast it.
okay. I mean, I've played it a few times in draft. I am playing it in league, but I really only like it in a deck where you have like Grim Baubles and like you where like it's always guaranteed that you're going to be able to give away something meaningless. Like I don't want to trade the Helm one of my creatures unless it's like a 1/1 pilot token. Anything better than that, I kind of don't want to give to my opponent. I don't want to spend a card on it because they could just, you know, I don't want to give them something they can use.
Well,
But it has been
I've seen
successful. Yeah.
opponents trade. I've seen opponents trade the helm on creatures that have been taken with possession engine and can't attack or block anyways.
I did that today in a league match. I didn't win the game, but I gave my opponent back the creature that I took from them. I said, "Here, you could have it back." I mean, like I was saying, I have 4 Grim Baubles in my current configuration of my league deck, so that's where Trade the Helm is going to be very very good. Here, not as much. Yeah, so like I said, Jahbari is probably looking at his opponent's pool and figuring out what kind of cards are possibly in Ike's hand that he's leaving up all this mana.
Well, he's probably going to draw the card after exhausting the engineer.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, you cannot get blown out for this. It the draw triggers as soon as you activate it, rather than like resolution. But yeah, this Defend the Rider is pretty face up right now, especially like even if Jabari didn't have his pool open, I think uh, most players could come to the conclusion with based on the way he
And there was
spent his mana that there's a Defend the Rider there.
and Ike drew a second Ranger's Refueler, but he's going for the removal first, it seems.
Yeah, I mean he could still cast the Ranger's Refueler and leave up that forest there. And that's a good answer to the Afterburner Expert, particularly since that one can come back multiple times depending on what you have. But like in the meantime, Jahbari's getting beat down here. Like while all these things are happening, he's just taken 7 damage down to 5. So this the Nethroi exhaust this turn is going to be of good help because he will get his Ketrodon back into play. Are there any more answers in Ike's hand here?
Defend the Rider, trade the Helm, and Godlike Pathmaker if there's anything he can
Okay.
find off of the Pathmaker.
All right, he's going to have the white now next turn. I mean, picking up Gearhulk is potentially pretty threatening here, which is one of the cards he's looking at from his Beast Rider. It's amazing when you like he has a choice of 3 different permanents. Usually when I cast it, it's like get a land and put a removal spell on the bottom of my deck, never to be seen again. All right. Yes, this is going to be a pretty easy mutate here. And he does not have to worry about a counterspell based on the mana left up. Yeah, Nethroi is going to come in. He's also going to be able to gain back some life here, which is so he's gaining 4, and then he's going to gain another 5. So that 7 that he took last turn is completely erased. You can even saddle. I don't know who would want to ride a Nethroi, but it is an option. So
The
recent,
Beast Rider Vanguard already rides Beast.
yeah, I mean, it is a cat nightmare beast, so that tracks. So he did this because he had the omnivore that he could follow up with from the treasure. I think without having something to play for the 2 mana, he probably doesn't saddle it. But yeah, the attack down to 5 has been erased here. And Ike has some interesting cards in his hand. None of them answer this 5/5 and the 6/6. They're just. I guess we'll see when he deploys the Pathmaker. All right, Ike has he's given up on on holding up his Defend the Rider to stop a removal. He also figures, well, there's a Gearhulk coming. I need bodies. So what's Ike looking at for this turn? Because next turn could be a whole
So
lot of trouble with this Gearhulk.
8 with 8 mana after playing land, it's really only trade the Helm, the Pathmaker, or okay,
Yep.
traded the Ketchodon for the token.
Ah, yes. So that was the reason why he made the pilot. He said, "I need something to trade the helmet." See, that's why. I mean, the card has cycling, so you could always do that. But if you don't have like an abundance of things lying around, trade the helm is not ideal. Again, it still cycles for 2, but that's not always really like a good buyout. Like having to just pay 2 to get it out of your hand to replace it with something you might be able to
Well,
cast is a
is
cost.
this lead?
With the Gearhulk, it might be. I mean, everything's going to get +2/+2 menace, which means he's absolutely will have to block the Nethroi with 2 creatures. Does that mean everything else gets in? 5, 6. It looks like exact lethal, actually.
And Ike has nothing in hand. He has the 6 mana Godlike Pathmaker,
Yeah,
and of course 4 mana to exhaust.
yeah. So I think he's just hoping that his opponent misclicks in some way. The Gearhulk is going to go for a ride here. He's going to ride the Nethroid. He does have a spin out in his hand, so that's why he's doing this. So this looks
Interesting.
like it's going to close the game here. Nethroid doing work. This was one of the cards that he had talked about being really good for him so far this league, and we're seeing it here. Yeah. So yeah. So even without this spin out, it's looking pretty lethal here.
So the spin out actually isn't going to change the blocks because he
Yeah.
can just clue in response.
Yeah. So double block the Nethroid, take exactly 12, unless he has a life gain. Unless he has a surprise life gain. We're going to see the
Nope.
Gearhulk team up with the Nethroid to absolutely dominate this combat here and end the game. But sounds like there's not much I can do about it yet. He's figured out that Jahbari is just going to continue his absolute tear that he's on. I believe. I mean, I know he went 5-0 2 weeks in a row and starting off this week with a victory. So congratulations to Jahbari on getting the win down. Very, very impressive showing here in the feature match. Thanks to both players, and we'll see everybody back in a little bit for our last match of the week.